Hi, I'm Zane Robbins, and this is my portfolio management financial project. My stocks are Visa, Honda Motor Company, and General Mills. In our first slide, we talked about CAPM in order to find the cost of equity. That formula is listed above at the top. It is risk-free rate plus your beta of the company times your expected return on investment minus the risk-free rate. And then, as you can see below, our risk-free rate for Visa was 3.51%. Excuse me. We found the risk-free rate from the U.S. Treasury bond of the 5-year timeline, which I said was 3.51%. Our beta we found from the stock model, that was also the 5-year model. And then our expected return on investment was from the research we did on the company, and that was also research in the last 5 years of the stock market. That allowed us to get market risk premium. The formula for that would be the expected return on the market minus your risk-free rate. So we took those two numbers above our ERM and our RF, subtracted those from each other, which gave us a market risk premium of 4. And then our ERI we found by plugging the RF, beta, ERM, and market risk premium. We plugged all of that information into the very top of our formula, and then once you plug those numbers in, we came out with an ERI of 7.39%. Moving on to our second slide, for the further calculations of the portfolio, our tax rate we found to be 19.7%, which gives us a tax shield. We can calculate our tax shield by taking 1 minus our tax rate, so it would be 1 minus 19.7%, gave us a tax shield of 80.3%. We found our debt and equity from the balance sheet of Visa. So we found our debt and liabilities to be $49.9 billion on the stock balance sheet, and then our equity for the company for Visa, we took the assets minus the current liabilities, which gave us $64.4 billion on the stock balance sheet. Our yield to maturity, to find the cost of debt, we found through looking at and averaging out the bonds from the yield to maturity calculation using time to maturity, annual coupon rate, bond price, redemption value, also known as face value percent, and coupon payments per year. I plugged this calculation into Excel using yield, and then using the formula equals yield in parentheses info just mentioned above in each of those categories, close parenthesis, and hit enter, and we calculated the yield to maturity calculation, which came out to 5% for our cost of debt. Slide 3 for Visa. As you can see, the color coordinations of the highlights on the top represent the bottom equation of where each number plugs in for the numbers we found throughout the first two slides. These numbers represent the answers to the questions asked in our portfolio. The cost of equity is 7.39%, found by CAPM for Visa. The cost of debt is found from the yield to maturity, which I like on the last slide is listed at 5%. Cost of preferred stock or dividend yield stock, which is found in the stock information, 0.8%. I then found the weight of equity and debt from the balance sheets, doing those calculations to find equity. The debt, you just have to look on the balance sheet. And then Excuse me. The WACC at the bottom of the screen here, weighted average cost of capital. Once we plug the numbers above, the cost of equity times the weight of equity plus cost of debt times weight of debt times your tax shield, you plug those numbers into the WACC equation, and that gave us a WACC of 5.92% for Visa. We come down to Honda Motor Company, and the same can be said, same strategy, same concepts as we did for Visa, we did for Honda Motor Company. Excuse me. You're plugging in the same numbers to the equation. We took Honda Motor Company's numbers, found a new beta, new market risk, plugged the numbers into the equation, which gave us a new ERI of 6.63%. Going on to slide 2. Following the same concept, same ideas, we found a tax rate of 28.3%, subtracted that from 1, which gave us a tax shield of 71.7%, calculated our equity, which came out to $17.9 billion, found the debt on the balance sheet, which came out to $13.2 billion, and then our yield to maturity, we used those same aspects in the Excel. We plugged in cost of preferred stock or dividend yield. I apologize. And we used annual coupon rate, bond price, redemption value, and coupon payments per year. So once we took and found the averages of those, we used that formula again, equals yield, in parentheses, the average of those aspects just mentioned, and then which gave us calculated our YTM. And then using that same color coordinated formula on slide 4 for Visa is the same formula to figure out WACC again in slide 7 for Honda Motor Company. So we use that same formula. The weighted average cost of capital equals cost of equity times weight of equity plus cost of debt times weight of debt times tax shield. You plug that in using the information we found for Honda Motor Company, it would give us a WACC of 5.11%. Scrolling down to General Mills, we have a risk-free rate of 3.51%. We went to the stock info sheet on Yahoo Finance. We found, a beta of 0.25%, an expected return on market of 7.51%, and then market risk calculation of 4%, which gave us an ERI of 4.51%. Plugging those numbers into the initial equation, like I stated on the very first slide of Visa, the ERI equals RF plus B, in parentheses ERM minus RF, which would give you your risk-free rate plus beta times market risk premium, which is what we use to calculate your ERI. So we just duplicated that step again for General Mills, which gave us our ERI of 4.51%. Continued calculations, our tax rate of 19.15%. We subtracted that from 1, which gave us our tax shield of 80.85%. Our debt we found on the balance sheet. Equity we calculated and found it to be $23 billion. And then yield to maturity, using that same formula on Excel, using the averages of those different aspects, we found a yield to maturity of 4.65% for General Mills. Which brings us to our last slide. Using the same WACC formula we used for Visa and for Honda Motor Company, we plugged the cost of equity of 4.51% in, cost of debt 4.65, cost of preferred stock 2.41, weight of equity 53.2%, and weight of debt 46.8%. Plugging those numbers in gave us a WACC of 4.16 for General Mills. So looking at our information, we have a WACC of Visa of 5.92%, a WACC of Honda Motor Company, of 5.11%, and a WACC of General Mills of 4.16%. And that is the information we used. I've had to calculate all the information for this portfolio and to calculate my stocks. Thank you.